Yo, what's up, guys? It's your boy hmsa2012 here, back at it again. This time, I wanted to show you guys a couple of tournament replays. Uh, Recently, I signed up on Smogon for a tournament called Gods Among Us, which basically each round, a Pokemon from the Ubers tier is unbanned in OU. In this round, Genesect, as you can probably see, Genesect is the actual Pokemon that is unbanned and is usable for the first round. So basically, the way this works is that this tournament is double elimination, meaning that there's two brackets, and if I lost both in both brackets, that means I'm officially out of the tournament. If I win at least one game, then I stay in one bracket, and if I win two games in the first round, then I am in both brackets. So basically, just keep on winning as much as I can. So the first game I'm up against is One Trick Phony, who I kind of know on Smogon because he's usually on during those Iron Chef challenges on Smogon. He's a pretty good team builder himself as well, and pretty creative too. So as you guys see, I'm rocking the good old busted Genesect. He is a Scarf variant. Heatran, Spadef. Zapdos is a static bold defensive set. Crawdon is banded to knock off like the heavy walls that Genesect can't break. Kieran Black is another one that just breaks teams apart. And as you can see, he doesn't really have much for Kieran Black. And Tapu Koko, I believe Tapu Koko is Specs with U-turn and Volt Switch, so I can catch the Landorus off guard. So anyways, let's get right to it. So I lead off with Genesect because it's Scarf. He goes off with the Landorus, and he probably knows that I'm Scarf, so he switches out, predicting me to go for the Ice Beam. I just go directly into the U-turn. As I go into my Tapu Koko, now I realize I don't have a ground resist on this. Electric immunity or resist on this team, so I had to switch out and go into my Heatran. And that Volt Switch does 36, which makes me believe that Magnezone is Scarf. So he goes into Landorus, and I make a kind of a ballsy play. He gets up his rocks, predicting me to switch out, but I get my rocks up as well. So, and he switches out here again, which he predicts me to go into. So I go into my Zapdos so I don't get locked up and stuff. So, Volt switching out of here, confirming that is actually Scarf. There's a lot because electric terrain and it's stab. So I'm just going to fire off a Heat Wave on this Bulu, and that is 32%, which makes me believe that this is actually a a Assault Vest variant, because that Hornleash didn't do anything. And so, obviously, he obviously I'm going to go for the Roost here just to get my HP recovered. It's going to be kind of important to keep this alive. And so what's going to happen here is that I'm going to go for the Discharge to see if I can get a para on this thing. He goes for a Stone Edge and knocks out my Zapdos. It did his job of getting rocks out of the way, which is going to be important in the end game. So going to this Kieran Black, he has absolutely nothing for this, and I'm just going to fire off the Z-move right off the bat, and it almost kills off the Magnezone, but not quite. So I'm going to stay in here because he goes for the Flash Cannon, and I think I just go for the Earth Power and just knock this Magnezone out, meaning that Genesect can start breaking this team a little more thoroughly. So this is obviously Ash Greninja. He makes a good play here going for the spikes on the predicted switch. Goes into the Bulu, and so I'm just gonna U-turn on out of there. Don't want to stay in, obviously. And here comes this Genesect right here. I get the special attack increase as well. So now the answers to Genesect is kind of slim, as that Ice Beam does 54, which makes you believe that it is indeed Assault Vest. And so now that this Bulu is gonna, pretty weakened, And so here comes the luck. So I get the Ice Beam on the Genesect, and it freezes the Genesect, which kind of sucks for my opponent because this Genesect is now essentially dead weight. So he's just all frozen up, and I take the opportunity here. Hopefully he doesn't get unthawed, and I take the opportunity here to fire for Magma Storm, and I miss. God, I love this game. And Genesect stays frozen for this entire rest of the game. So he gets frozen again, hit the Magma Storm, the Genesect is just dead. So I believe now he goes into Greninja. Obviously, I'm going to get out of here, and I'm going to sack my Kyurem because I don't want this Greninja to become Ash early in the game. Otherwise, I automatic lose because I don't have a Scarfer outside of Genesect. They cannot take Water Shurikens very well. Goes into Bulu. I just Dazzling Gleam here. It's all around the mid-ground play here. He goes into Zapdos, and more luck for me ensues. So that does 46, so he has to know that I am actually Specs. He does not have a good switch-in for this thing because his Landorus is obviously not Scarf. So he goes into the Roost again, and just getting all that HP because of the... And now the critical hit. And this is kind of a misplay on his part because I believe that he should have just roosted because he could have stalled out my dazzling gleams because I noticed that he has pressure. But I don't think going for discharge was actually a good play on his part. I think he was expecting me to go into Heatran, but in the end, I didn't really see a beneficial result out of what he just did. Because getting critted sucks. Yeah, it really does suck because this game is amazing. But I really didn't see why he would do that in the first place. So I get the crit, he discharges, kind of a misclick on his part, and I just fire off the Dazzling Gleam, get rid of that Zapdos. And so now he goes into the Landros. I believe I just stay in here because I don't need the Zapdos. And I crit him again. My boy Tapu Koko, man. The Landros play sucks. So now I get to fire off a free U-turn here. I don't think there was a point of keeping the Landros in at all. So I go into my Crawdon here. Now, what I should have done here, he goes into Landros because obviously the Crawdon is going to be a really big issue. He goes into Greninja, perfectly fine with me. I go for the Aqua Jet, and I just decided to stay in because I didn't want to sack off my Genesect or my Heatran. Just because I don't want Ash Grant to be, becoming Ash, right away. So I just keep firing off Aqua Jets. He misses the Hydro Pump there, which probably would 2-hit KO me. And now I'm just weakening this Greninja as much as I possibly can. Yeah, see, that Hydro Pump was definitely a 2-hit KO. Now, if I wasn't intimidated, this game would have been a lot easier. But he gets out the Hydro Pump, and now in comes the Ash Grand, which is now a big issue. So I go into my Genesect. Obviously, he has to switch out, otherwise he loses this game. So it goes into the Landros. I just fire off the U-turn here, and he sacks the Landros. Then I go back to my Heatran, and I just need to fire off one Earth Power, live whatever this move is. So now he has to go into Water Shuriken because if he goes to Hydro Pump, he loses automatically to Genesect because it's Scarf. So fortunately for me, he gets 3 Water Shurikens only, and yeah, that's the game. It was kind of lame actually because my opponent did pretty well. I just didn't really agree with the discharge play on Tapu Koko. I would have just if I was in his position, I would have just stalled out the Tapu Koko because obviously he didn't have a switch into it, and getting rid of Dazzling Gleam with pressure along with PP Roost stalling definitely would have helped him out in the end. So that was the first match. This is why I can't take Pokemon seriously. Now on to the next round. I use the same team. So because I won my first match, that means I'm officially in a bracket now. And meaning that the second game, I don't really like playing double elimination brackets because, 2 games is kind of... Because 1 game is already difficult enough to schedule as is, but 2 games, yeah. I decided not to take this game as seriously as the first game. I just wanted to win one, just stay in 1 bracket, so that way scheduling is a lot easier. So I'm rocking the same team. This time my opponent actually has a Zygarde, a Heatran, and man, Kieran Black puts in a lot of work. Looking at a team preview, Kieran Black actually does a lot to this team. But anyways, let's have some fun. So I go lead off my Genesect as the best lead mon all around, and I'm just gonna fire off a U-turn because I don't want this thing to get stuck. I go into Zapdos, he gets the rocks up. I believe I just stay in just to defog these rocks away. Because this Heatran is faster than me, obviously, if he fire off his next Magma Storm, kills off my Zapdos turn 1. Kind of sucks that I wish I had this Zapdos. Now, I was really thinking of going for Earth Power, but I decided the Fusion Bolt was the all-around play here. And I switched out, predicting him to have Fighting Z, but he just fires off a Hurricane, which isn't too bad. So I predict him to go into either his Zygarde or his Bulu and just go for the U-turn. I go back into my Kieran Black because this thing is a mega threat to his team, and it will get obliterated. He goes for the Protect, which is a good play on his part, as I go for the Z, and even through the Protect, this actually does half, which is pretty amazing how powerful Kieran Black actually is. He goes off to the Heatran. Smart play. I'm just going to fire off the Ice Beam. Now, here I was really thinking of firing off an Ice Beam to get rid of this Torn. But I don't see Torn as much of a problem against me. So I'm just going to Fusion Bolt this again. And this does half to Genesect, which is pretty amazing. So I'm going to go into my Heatran as he goes for the U-turn as expected. And now he goes into his Zygarde. Now, DD's Zygarde pretty much messes up my team, so I'm just going to stay in and predict him to go for the Dragon Dance or a Coil or a Sub. And I just taunt him so I don't let him, so he doesn't kill me off. So I don't go into my Kyurem Black here. I think he probably doesn't have a Dragon move, that's why he switches out. So I'm just going to fire off the Ice Beam on this Heatran. Now, I actually predict him going into the Torn, but obviously that doesn't work out. And he hits me with Infernal Overdrive, which does not kill me. So he switches out, and I just go for the Earth Power here. Now, my Kyurem is still a bit useful for the remaining slower mons on his team. So, you know what? I'm just going to go into my Coco. I get knocked off my specs. He goes into a Bulu here, and I'm just going to fire off the Volt Switch here. And I'm going to go back into my Kyurem Black. And you guys are going to realize throughout the match that Kyurem is actually getting healed up quite a bit. So go for the Torn. Ice Beam. Oh, barely kills the Torn. I'm going to keep my Kyurem because I need this for the rest of the team. Heat Wave misses, unfortunately, for my opponent. Man, this game is just trash. Pokemon sucks competitively. I go for the U-turn, and I'm going to go back into my Kyurem Black and notice that Kyurem was at 4%, and now it's like right above the right underneath the quarter mark. It goes into Heatran here. I'm going to fire off the Ice Beam, and predicting him to stay in and not go for the Torn, I go for the Earth Power and just knock off this Heatran. So Genesect's looking a little bit cleaner in this game, but I'm obviously playing behind. I'm going to go into my Tapu Koko, predicting him to go for the Dark Pulse. I don't think Hydro Pump would ever be a smart play on his part. So he switches out to Bulu. Fine with me. I get the U-turn chip, which is nice for me, and I'm going to go back into my Kyurem Black. And look at my Kyurem Black's HP now, looking kind of dangerous. So here, he goes into his Greninja. I'm going to go for the Ice Beam. That does quite a bit for a resisted damage. So I'm going to go back to my Coco. He probably will fire off a Dark Pulse, obviously. And so I'm just going to predict to go for the U-turn here, because I know the Zygarde's coming in hot. So I'm going to go into that. And now I'm going to go back into my Kyurem Black. And I'm just going to fire off an Ice Beam right here, right now. I don't think that Fusion Bolt was ever the good play for me. And now I stay in. I don't have any resistance to Genesect now, so Kyurem Black is gone. So now I have my own Genesect here. Now I'm going to go for the U-turn. I probably should have fired off a Flamethrower. I pretty much lose here because I cannot break his team single-handedly with Genesect and Crawdon, because Greninja is obviously a really big problem. Now he goes into the Bulu, completely fine with me. I go into my Genesect expecting him to Horn Leech here. But he goes for the Superpower, which is a good play on his part. I believe he just stays in. Yeah, he protects, obviously. You know, I'm going to go for the U-turn. I believe this U-turn could possibly knock him out. But he switches out. Good play on his part. I'm just going to go for the U-turn. It does 31 on this Zygarde. I go into my Crawdon here. Now, Crawdon doesn't die to any of this Zygarde's moves. I'm going to go for the knockoff and knock out its leftovers, which is pretty... That did a lot, too, by the way. So Crawdon is able to live another 1,000 arrows, which is fine with me. I'm just going to stay in and go for the knockoff. Knock this Zygarde out. But unfortunately for me, it's a bit too late, because now this Ashgren could just easily Dark Pulse its way to victory and Water Shuriken the rest of my team, which is just Genesect. So I'm going to fire off a U-turn here. And I realized that this Torn is actually Rocky Helmet, and it wasn't Z-move. So that was a good game. I kind of misplayed a bit, and obviously if I was able to predict the switches with the Heatran and the Torn correctly, maybe this game would have gone in a different way. But regardless, I believe I played pretty well for the first round, and because I won my first game, that means I'm able to proceed until the next round. And because Genesect was used this round, there will be another Ubermon that I can possibly use in the next round. So, thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. P.S. Pokemon sucks competitively. I can't begin to explain how much luck overshadows skill in Pokemon. Like, you can be the best player in the world, and you can outplay your opponent, but one freeze, one para, one burn, a crit, 2 crits can severely change the outcome of a game. And that first game comes to show, like, it can happen to anyone and anytime. So, thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Like and subscribe for more content. Thank you. Have a good day.